Sorry, I need 2 minutes. I have to give Joe my tax documents. He's doing the taxes while we're recording.
Important. Sorry. Hello, friends and fiends. Welcome to Bugs Need Heroes, a podcast where an artist and an entomologist team up to illustrate the inspiring abilities of insects by creating a bug-themed superhero. I'm Amanda.
Amanda. Oh my goodness. I'm Kelly.
Before we get started creating this bug-themed hero, what's bugging you, Kelly? I called you Kelly there for
not
a
a Keely.
I like tried to say too many words at once. Let me do that line again. Before we get started creating this bug-themed and it's inspired. Before we get started creating this bug-inspired hero, what's bugging you, Kelly?
No, nothing bugging, but we did get a lovely listener email from Sheena.
And now I remembered.
It was so cute.
It was such a good email.
Sheena is our first listener hero because she saved a little mason bee from the bus.
Feels like
I love it.
Everywhere I turn, people are like, discovered mason bees. The internet has been wild with mason bee discovery this year.
A buzz?
Oh my gosh, it was right there, Kelly. What a fool I am. Yeah. It's been a buzz with mason bee discovery. But it was a very cute email. We love to get emails. It made, honestly, I was riding that high for like a couple of days.
It just made Amanda's week.
Yeah, it really did. It was so sweet, so cute, and so heroic.
Very heroic. Yeah, send us your bug heroism.
Yeah,
we love to hear about it.
All I've saved this year is woolly bears because I keep finding them under my stuff.
You've saved a lot of woolly bears this year, though.
I also a buzz. It seems like suddenly there's a lot of woolly bears, and I wonder if that's something to do with like we stayed inside for 2 winters, and like they got a chance to be like, now's the time, now's our chance. I've not been so disturbed this year.
We're entering our woolly bear era.
Yeah, you know it, girl. I'm here. Like you want to root for an anti-hero.
What's bugging you? Anything?
Spring has sprung, as they say, and with the springing of the sprung comes ants. I don't know if you get the guys. I'm sure we talked about it in the pavement ant episode, but we get these little bitty little ants that when you smoosh them, or even just touch them or disturb them in any way, frankly, they put off a little stinky aura. Some people say it smells like blue cheese to them. I don't think it smells like blue cheese, but that's what people say, is that it smells like blue cheese.
Does it smell footy?
It is.
Is it more of a footiness?
I would say it's more acidic than it is footy, but it's not pleasant. It's not good. I don't want it on me. Hold on, Derek's saying stuff. He loves to talk about ants.
Derek is disagreeing with you. He says they do smell like blue cheese.
He says they taste like blue cheese. Derek,
have you been eating the ants?
You eat a lot of ants?
No, I've had sandwiches where I didn't realize that the ants found the sandwich before I did.
Oh, Cody's gonna throw up in his mouth when he hears you say that.
There are worse bugs.
That's kind of how I feel about it. Like
yeah, it's just an ant.
My husband is so upset about the ants every single time, and I don't want to harsh his vibe, but we have 2 kids, which means sometimes graham crackers and goldfish and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches end up on the floor, and sometimes an ant finds them, and that means one ant exists.
Many ants exist.
You can reasonably assume there's thousands more. And so like he just hates it. A single scout ant, he's like, we have to bomb the whole house, and I'm so not bugged by them that it sometimes causes contention between us because I'm like, it's an ant, like you need to chill, and he's like, ah! So, but
throwing your husband under the bus.
I'm sorry, Cody, I love you so much. And it's really, I know that I'm the one who's wrong. I should be more disturbed by finding a trail of ants, under the couch. I'm just not. Maybe it's the feralness inside of me. Like Kelly, I too am a feral wild child.
Everyone's got the streak. Everyone's got that feral animal streak.
Yeah. But I always think of ants as like the most basic bug. You know, it feels like
Oh, we're gonna talk about an even more basic bug today.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you told me the basic form of a bug is an ant, I'd be like, sure. But it turns out I'm wrong. Turns out there's an even more basic beezy out there buzzing away, called the silverfish. So it's not even named. It's not
Yeah.
even
Oh,
named
yeah.
a bug name. It's a fish name.
But we wanted to talk about something else first.
Oh, we do want to talk about something else first. Something else buggy. At least 2 bug themed trailers have dropped this week. I don't know that we'll talk about both of them, but we're going to talk about at least one of them.
I have added
There
the
we
link to the Discord.
All right. Should we just watch it then?
Yeah, the listeners will hear a little Rotunda jingle, and then we'll hear Kelly's reaction. So
Oh, okay.
go ahead
Oh,
and
it's just mine. Has Amanda watched
Well-
it
I
yet
haven't
or
watched
no?
okay, so
Oh,
just both play it and then hold your thoughts, and then we'll come back.
Okay, I'm back.
All right. So I have no prior knowledge of Blue Beetle. I'm not a big DC person. I'm very much a Marvel person. The actor is fun, I think. He looks
He
cute.
had very beautiful
like
hair.
he's having a good time.
In direct,
He had great hair.
direct contrast with what they did to poor George there with his hair. What a look.
It looks fun, but again, I don't have a prior connection to Blue Beetle, so I don't know how actual DC fans are going to react to it. As far as is it like a beetle? No. Go with a hard no
You
on
don't
that.
think a beetle could cut a bus
A
in
bus
half?
in half? I don't think so.
He had cool wings, though. He had an interesting wing setup.
Yeah, I think the costume's cool looking. The wings are very neat. I like it. His transformation looked very violent and uncomfortable. That was a lot.
It reminded me
Right?
of in The Mummy when the scarab, if you've seen The Mummy, you know what part I'm talking about. Where the scarab gets under that guy's skin and is like, gonna take him from the inside. It had a reminiscent feeling of like the scarab's inside you and there's nothing you can do about it now.
Yeah. Did it hurt? Was that a painful transformation or was it just weird?
Well,
I don't know.
so in the comics, like in the trailer we just watched, it melds to his back and kind of integrates itself into his nervous system. And I can't imagine that's ever a comfortable journey to go through.
Sounds like a lot of pain.
Yeah, anything involving your nervous system really doesn't feel like a good time. But I have to say, of all the DC trailers I've watched, this one feels the most like a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This one feels like the most fun.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Shazam.
Yeah, Shazam was fun, but Shazam had a very different feeling.
Vibe.
Yeah. It also kind of didn't feel like a... I mean, we could get into a whole conversation about whether the DCU is going to try and copy what the MCU did.
I think they should.
I think they should if they want to make money, because the MCU, whatever your feelings are about phase, what are we on? Phase 6? Whatever your feelings about that are, they certainly have made money. I think
4. Are we in phase 4?
Is it 4? Is it still 4? I feel like we've been on phase 4 for a hot minute here. But I mean, wasn't like Endgame like the highest grossing movie like in a long time?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
It's weird because you have to count like inflation and stuff. Like once you take away inflation,
I would like to be introduced to some DC heroes that I might actually enjoy. And then if you can really build a good movie system, then you're going to get some folks who are interested in buying your comics, who previously, like me, have not bothered.
Interesting that the Blue Beetle trailer ended with a comic spot. Like, this is where, if you're interested in this, you can read these comics to figure out. Because
that's great.
He's
that's
a
very
fairly
smart.
new hero. So he's a legacy character there, which is the comics term for there's someone else who had the name before him, right? So DC has this one format, which is not dissimilar from Marvel Universe one, which is there's a really rich guy and then something horrible happens to him and he decides to use his riches to become a superhero. And the original Blue Beetle,
like Batman,
precisely, and that system gets used over and over again because it's a really easy way to justify how the guys have all this stuff. The Batman has a lot of stuff because he's rich. The end. His superpower is that he's rich. So the original Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, is one of those guys who
technically that's the second.
Oh, you're right. Technically, oh yeah, you're right. Well, okay, so the one who had the title the longest is still Ted, though. So Ted Cord is the rich guy, becomes the Blue Beetle. He's the Blue Beetle for a long time. His death is like a big moment in DC Comics because he wasn't a very popular character. He wasn't like a big dude in the universe, but the way he dies was like really important. I don't want to get too spoilery for you, but his best friend is a time traveler, Booster Gold, and Booster spends an entire series trying to get back to the moment where Ted gets killed and undo it, but it turns out that like Ted kind of has to die because it like unravels the universe if he doesn't. Like things get really bad in the universes where he doesn't make this ultimate sacrifice. So they kill Blue Beetle in a preparation to introduce the new Blue Beetle, and that's this guy Jaime. And he's showed up in a lot of stuff since. They really pushed him for a long time. He teams up with Batman a lot, and he's got that like, I'm just a kid learning the ropes. So he's kind of got that like baby Spider-Man thing going too. He looks a little bit older in this. Usually he's like a teenager, like firmly still in high school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he looks like he's in his early 20s.
Yeah, this one in this, maybe. Which I get. Like, it's hard to find a really good teenage actor or someone in their early 20s who looks enough like a teenager.
Who can do that. Well, I think also people don't want to watch teenagers. If you want 30-year-olds to come to your movie, you can't do teenagers.
I think that's
not really.
Plus, teenagers age so fast. I mean, that's why they do it on Riverdale and stuff. Is they don't really want to deal with. He looked
you want continuity,
right? The Stranger Things cast is like barely held on to like the believability of being teenagers, but they pushed him for a long time, and I think it's because there's been a big push to get rid of the rich white guy format, which I think is fair. But he's Mexican American. I believe he lives in California, so he was like a big push for a long time.
Texas?
Is it Texas?
I think he's in Texas.
Okay, he's Texas.
El Paso.
Okay. Oh, El Paso. There you go. So he's like firmly Mexican American and represents a lot of that culture. And so they pushed him for a long time because they were trying to be like, us too, right, guys? We care about this. Which is its own topic of discussion about when companies do that sort of thing. But I think he's a plus to the DC universe, where the DC universe...
knowing nothing about the franchise, it's a fun trailer, and I don't think I'd go to the theater to watch it, but I'd definitely watch it when it comes out on, I guess streaming services or whatever.
No offense to the DCEU, but that's kind of been my blanket statement ever since Dawn of Justice. I mean, we could get into a whole thing about how DC versus Marvel.
I think with COVID too, I'm like a lot less likely to go to the movie theater
for anything,
unless it's something I can't live. Like if it's a Star Wars movie, I'm gonna go to the movie theater.
Star Wars dream last night, Kelly. In my dream.
Really?
Star Wars. Well, interestingly, it was both a Star Trek dream and a Star Wars dream. When I was on the
How dare you?
When I was on the ship, it was very clearly a Star Trek dream. But when I was on the planets, it was a Star Wars dream. Which, if you know the difference between those two franchises. So it was weird.
Interesting.
Something about like a psychic Calrissian was there. It was a whole thing. And everyone had like that that makeup where like, we need to make you look like an alien, but we can't not make you a human. So you've got like freckles. You've got like triangles around your eyes. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's very Star Trek.
Very Star Trek. Because especially TOS, they were like, how do we make you look like an alien? Oh, I guess we're just not going to. Okay.
Well, I think we have a somewhat alien bug to talk about today. Sort of. Have you ever seen a silverfish?
I Googled it last week when we decided what are we going to talk about. And you guys were like, the silverfish. I was like, I don't even know what that is. So I did Google a picture of it. And I can see why they call it a silverfish. It kind of looks like a dead fish that is laying on the riverside, having been stranded there by an unfortunate occurrence.
Yeah, they're very shiny. They've got that kind of flat body, and the flatness extends to almost like the shape of a fishtail towards the end.
Hold on, I'm Googling again. Yeah.
You gonna get reacquainted,
I'm reacquainted with. He looks the most like what I would say. So speaking of aliens, a lot of times we will base aliens that we need to look very alien from humans on bugs. And I would say that this silverfish looks the most like if I needed to base an alien creature and make it not accessible to the humans, this is what I would draw. It is just a long tube tapered at the end with 6 little leggies coming out of it, and that is it.
It is a very, very basic form, right?
Yeah, we talked a
They're
lot
also
about
a really ancient group of bugs too. So that's kind of
as you know, Kelly, the most ancient bug is the dragonfly the size of a kite that flies around in dinosaur paintings.
Oh, you can't have a dinosaur painting without like a 1 foot long dragonfly.
Exactly. That's
especially if you're a kid from the 80s or 90s.
I don't make
all of your posters were like that.
But yeah, so where are these guys? And am I likely to encounter them myself?
Oh yeah, they're all over the place.
They're everywhere.
They're pretty cosmopolitan. You will find them in your attic or basement. They like it dark. They're pretty nocturnal, and they like it damp because they don't want to desiccate, so they don't want to dry out. So you'll probably find them maybe in your bathroom, attic, basement.
That seems like a bathroom boy looking at him.
Like he looks like a little basement dweller.
Yeah, he looks like he's hanging out in your dank spaces. So he's got this like whip thing on his little booty here.
Those are Circe.
Okay.
And I think we've talked about Circe with a few other bugs.
And it's these 3. It's like pronged isn't the right word because they don't start at the same spot. But he's got 3 of these little Circe, the sea
coming out in every
coming
direction
out of him. I see at least 3. I think 3 seems to be the standard on all these guys.
Yep. Yeah, I think so too.
And what is the purpose of those?
When they're like ready to mate, the male and the female do like a 3-part little courtship dance, and they tickle each other with them.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Oh, they have little tickle fights. I like you. Do you like me?
Yeah, they tickle each other with their Circe, which just sounds so ridiculous. Like the first part, they face each other, and then they kind of like tickle each other, and then the second part, the male runs away and the female has to chase him. It's so goofy. Just picture these 2 little bugs.
I'm not gonna lie. So far, this sounds like a Regency novel. Chase him. He's scared of marriage.
And then the third part, they line up next to each other, head to tail, and then he tickles her with this Circe until she's ready to mate. But it's such a weird little dance.
We don't do a lot of mate talk on this podcast.
We don't.
But my gosh, I'm glad we included this one because that is adorable.
A little courtship behavior. We call it courtship behavior. It's very funny.
I was at the duck pond.
A lot of bugs have
a lot of courtship behavior. They do that like head thing.
Oh yeah, the head bob.
Yeah.
Ducks are. Ducks can get a little aggressive though.
We didn't witness any aggressiveness, which I was thankful for because I had my 4-year-old with me, and he would have asked questions I was not ready to answer. But we did see some lady love ducking.
Right now, here where I live, the pigeons are all courting.
Do they do the head thing too?
They do the head thing, and they fluff out their throat feathers, which are really iridescent in male pigeons. And the male will follow the female. Amanda's being a pigeon.
Oh, sorry.
Right now. And the male will kind of follow the female around, bobbing his head at her until she acquiesces. Yeah. He looks like he's just annoying her until she finally says, fine, okay.
But not our boy, the basic bug, silverfish.
No,
he tickles you till you say hee. Okay.
It kind of makes them a lot more likable. I think when most people see, like, I know our listeners will Google silverfish while we talk, and I know they're not traditionally pleasant to look at.
No, like I
but
said,
they do have
are very
a cute little dance.
Very, very buggy. A very bugged looking bug. Remind me a little bit of a movie I've never seen, actually, but I remember seeing the posters for it everywhere. Oh, now I'm not gonna remember the name. District 9? District
Oh
I think
yeah,
it's District 9.
I like District 9. You've never seen it? It's very good.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's worth watching.
I believe you. I've heard it's one of the really great examples of like how to make an alien species really look alien and then still keep them like relatable. Because like isn't the main character's like alien bug, but he's born on Earth, so he doesn't know the culture of his home planet because he's from Earth.
It's a little more complicated than that. I think if you can find it streaming,
okay, I'll add that to my list.
It's not scary. I know you don't like scary, but it's not a scary movie. It can be a little, I don't know, I wouldn't say graphic, but there are a couple parts. But I don't think you'll have a problem with it. It's good.
I'll add it to my bug list.
So today we're going to talk about bug basics.
What
and
is
I'll use
a bug?
The silverfish, as I'll try to use him as an example throughout the question. So before we define how we use the term bug, I think we should maybe mention taxonomy, because that's...
Is this your chance to finally use all your jargony jargon?
I'm going to try not to be too jargony, because I want everyone to be able to understand this and not fall asleep mid-sentence. That would be nice. So taxonomy is the way that we classify everything living on the planet, how things are related. So all animals come from the same, everything on the planet has a common ancestor. And as things branch away, we get more and more specific. So you remember, you remember kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species? Did you have a little mnemonic in school?
I did not, and
remember that?
I wish I did, because I'm so bad at category, like remembering what the order is, like, or even what they are. Like kingdom, is kingdom the one where you're like, you're a mammal, you're a reptile? No, see, I don't even know.
We had when it was King Philip came over for good soup.
Good soup.
Sometimes it's King Philip came over for good sex. If you're
keeping it
like a funny kid in high school, and that's how you remember what the order of the taxonomic groups are. The kingdom is the first, and for the silverfish, that's Animalia. So everything under that branch is an animal. And then phylum is Arthropoda.
Okay.
Do you remember what?
I remember.
So arthropods
are.
Yeah.
So an arthropod.
All of our bugs.
All our buggy boys have been arthropods so far. Does arthropod have to have a crunchy outside?
It does have to have a crunchy outside. Very good.
The arthropod.
Crunchy outside, creamy inside.
A little cream puff. Delicious. Little Cadbury egg.
And then the class, which is I think what most people think of when we say bugs, is Insecta. So these are everything in the class. Silverfish are insects, right? Ants are insects, beetles, Isabella tiger moth, and woolly bear, all insects.
Okay. So that's why a spider is an arthropod. So he's in the same category as everyone then, but you go the next one down. In the same phylum. So then you go the next one down, and that's when you start to split between like arachnids and insects.
Right.
And are crabs in there too?
Crustacea.
Crustacea. It's a great word. I'm sorry. Crustacea is a great word.
It's a fun word.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm learning more right now than I did in any biology class.
And then the order is Zygentoma. So when we think order, I think you'd probably have an easier time with Hymenoptera, which are bees, wasps, ants, and sawflies. So we know how all those guys are related at that level.
All right.
I think we.
I'm sorry.
I think we talked about
chain
that.
in my head. So he's an animal because he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess plants are technically alive because he's a dude. He's a dude walking around. He's a dude. And then he's a arthropod because he's got a crunchy outside. And then he's an insect because he only has 6 legs. And I assume there's other categories. So
there are other characteristics, but six
we'll
legs.
Go with 6 legs is our basic category. 6-leggy boy. And then from there it splits into bees and ants are the round guys. So they got 3 little rounds.
So yeah, that's the order level.
Okay.
These guys' order is Zygentoma. Bees, ants, wasps, sawflies are Hymenoptera. Dragonflies and damselflies, I know you love those. That's Odonata.
Okay.
So you can kind of see how at the order level things start to get a little bit more specific.
Right. So they're more closely related. Is that a word I could use? Okay, they're more closely related to each other.
Everything in that order, is related to each other.
So like how far down like on a mammal chain could you go like mammal it's going to be canine next.
Well, we can think about producer Derek's favorite animal, bats.
Oh, okay.
So that would be Chiroptera. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So all the bats are
one group, and then from there you split into more specific bats.
Right, and those would be family. So for the silverfish, it's family Lepismatidae. I think a better family, if we're thinking about, we'll use one of my favorite spiders, the wolf spider.
Okay.
Their family is Lycosidae. So everything under Lycosidae is a wolf spider of some kind. Can you kind of picture those?
Yes.
Have you seen those before?
Oh, yeah. There's many a jumping spider lives around here.
Oh, no, wolf spider.
Oh, sorry, wolf spider.
But jumping spider is also its own family. That's Salticidae.
So jumpy.
So all those little fuzzy babies are their own family.
So they're going to look vaguely similar once you get to family. Mm-hmm. They're all going to look...
Right, everything should start to really...
Their silhouette should all start to resemble each other by the time you get to family. Okay, great.
And then for silverfish, then we have genus and species. So the genus is Lepisma. At the genus level, everything is really closely related. Like, let's see, what's a good genus?
So like
to think of,
like with like a gray wolf and a red wolf be like that close, or is that even? That's
Canis. Yep, Canis is a good. Okay, that would be Canidae. But Canis is the genus underneath Canidae, the family. And then you get the species level, and everything in that species is the same.
That's the guy.
It's one. This
species.
Is
a
one
puma.
Organism.
That's a lion. They're in the
right.
same.
Yeah, this is
family,
a silverfish.
But they're not the same animal. Okay, so one more time. Let's go over it. Let's use an example of cats because everyone likes cats. So it's a animal because it's a walking around. It's a mammal because it's a furry dude who has milky. And then from there it's after so it's mammal and then it's family. Is that correct?
I'm gonna
hold on, I gotta write down the, what is it, king?
Ready. Kingdom, phylum.
Okay, so King Philip comes, what's he do? What's King Philip do?
He comes over for some good soup. Or good steak if you're a steak person. Whatever works with an S.
Soup. Okay, so his kingdom is he's a mammal.
Kingdom? No, his kingdom is we're talking cats?
Yeah.
Okay. Kitties? Alright, so his kingdom is he's Animalia.
Oh, he's an animal. Okay, animal. And then
his
he's
phylum,
a mammal? Okay.
Not yet. His phylum is he's a...
I'm gonna get this.
He's a chordate.
Oh.
He has a spinal cord.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I missed the arthropod versus.
You missed the arthropod section. Yeah.
Section. Okay. Okay. So he has a spine. So he's an animal with a spine.
So what's next?
And then he has fur and gives milk. Then he's a mammal. Okay.
So he's a mammal.
From
what do you think his order is?
Oh, I don't. If we were talking cats, still. See, this is where I want to put like Felix. Felis felicis. I feel
no,
like
it's way down.
So
yeah.
order.
So he's a carnivore.
Carnivore. I think of that as a
Mhm.
behavior more than I think of it as like a category of like I'm categorizing you. But I guess this is why I'm not a sciencey person. Okay, so he eats meat. Then
and then
his
family is.
Then he's a cat. Then he's a cat.
Then he's a cat. Yeah.
Okay, then he's a cat.
Then he's a cat. Felidae. Yeah. Then he's a cat.
So Felidae, and then genus. I really don't know the difference between genus and species.
Oh, there can be many animals in one genus.
Okay.
The species is a single animal.
Okay, and so this at the bottom is kitty. So how do I get between he's a cat and he's this kind of cat? So what's the step I'm missing in between there with genus?
So genus is Felis.
Okay.
So you have your domestic cat, which is Felis catus.
Oh.
And then you have
I see.
the European wild cat, which is Felis sylvestris. Do you see the difference? So they're both cats, but they're not the same species of cat.
Okay. I guess okay. All right.
Is that locked in now?
I think
you got it.
I think I've got it. I will not remember it in 5 minutes when you ask me, but it's all about just trying to chisel down from general size and shape of a creature all the way down to this
hyper-specific one species, right?
Okay. So I don't know how much of this will make it in the podcast because of how much I messed it up, but
no, that's okay. That's okay. Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, I knew what it was for, but like I will always be confused about like what categorizes as a big enough change between two creatures to call them a separate chain of.
Well, if you think about episodes that we've talked about, or episodes that we've done, we don't usually do the species. So we did with Isabella tiger moth,
right?
Sort of.
We talked about other moths.
Yeah, but... we talked about others. Yeah. You know what we did with the death's head hawk moth?
Okay.
Right? That's a very specific, it's 3 species. We talked about all 3 species.
So the moths seem to be the one that we really we hone in on a moth. Everyone else will talk about
love a moth.
Their basic family, not family. See? This is what I do.
Sometimes family. Sometimes we really do cover family. And that gives us a wide enough view to cover lots of interesting parts of those.
So
I think ladybugs was family level too.
Yeah.
We didn't cover specific ladybugs.
Like Spider-Man, he's a family. He covers all kinds of spiders, right?
Yeah, I guess you can call Spider-Man a family. Well, I haven't thought about it that way.
I just mean that like powers wise, he's taking the powers of a whole family of group.
Well, I think actually we would probably bump that up to the order level, because remember, for a family it would be jumping spider and wolf spider.
Okay.
So we'd pop that up to Araneae, which is just true spiders. So
Spider-Man is an order superhero. I'm trying to think if there's anybody who's like further down the chain than that.
I am surprising myself with how many of these names I remember off the top of my head.
So okay. I'm thinking, so Spider-Man has the powers of any spider. So he has the powers of a whole order.
Yep.
Black Panther is named after one specific species. So
he should only have the powers
of a Black
one
Panther
animal. Yeah.
So he doesn't get to do anything lions do because he's a Black Panther.
Right. I mean, if they were truly following how this works, then yes, but I don't think the MCU is paying attention to taxonomy, and that's okay because it makes for fun.
Right.
But so does that make sense? Can you?
The pyramid has chiseled down to its finest.
Yes. So from there, I think we can kind of talk about what do we consider a bug for the podcast. What do you think? What do we call a bug here?
I think we've gone all the way back to anthropod with ours.
Arthropod.
Oh, am I saying ant?
No N.
No ant.
No N.
Arthropod. I think arthropods. So crunchy on the outside, gooey on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few characteristics of an arthropod.
I don't know, because we kind of are covering 2 of the next one down, but we're not Like, because we're not doing crabs or anything. We haven't done anything crabby. Because when you say insect, I'm
We
definitely
haven't.
when you thinking bug, I'm not thinking crabs. But I guess technically, if we're going by that, we're going strictly, the phylum is correct,
Right.
then we
Well,
could.
Producer Derek is right. Bug is a vibe.
Bug is I don't think
Bug
crabs
is
have a
definitely a
bug
vibe.
vibe. I would say a
I don't
lobster
think
has
so
a
either.
higher bug vibe than a crab.
Wait, why? What's your
I don't
bug
know.
vibe criterion?
Maybe because he's more shaped like a silverfish. Or maybe a silverfish is more shaped like him.
Oh.
Yeah.
What came first?
What came first? Silverfish or the lobster?
The chicken or the egg?
That being said, I don't think a lobster has a bug vibe. I know some people call them sea bugs. Whereas a shrimp has a much higher bug vibe.
Shrimp is a higher bug vibe to me than I think any other crustacean. Especially the mantis shrimp.
Yes.
Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
We should cover the mantis shrimp. We'll make it we'll make it an official bug for the podcast.
Officially say the mantis shrimp, little punchy guy, is officially a bug.
It's a bug.
Okay. Interesting. Bug is a vibe. So we've counted spiders as bugs. We've counted ants as bugs. We're counting the silverfish as a bug. But
I'd count a centipede as a bug.
I would say a centipede is definitely a bug.
Yeah.
But is a worm a bug? Because he's not really crunchy on the outside.
I would not consider a worm a bug.
But what about caterpillars? They're also not crunchy on the outside.
But they become crunchy on the outside.
They become crunchy. That's true.
And they have 6 legs. Even caterpillars have 6 legs.
You say that, and I'm imagining a caterpillar, and they do have like 6 little nubbins often. But I don't know if they even have 6 legs.
They're technically legs, and then they have the pseudopods in the back, which are false legs, and they really just kind of like give them a little balance. A worm's got nothing.
No leggies, not a bug. Okay, all right.
I'm trying to think if
we
there
are
are any
chiseling
bugs that I'm gonna
pyramid down to what qualifies. Okay, so you have to have legs to be a bug.
Would you consider a water bear a bug?
Oh, the most memed bug on the internet.
Yes.
I don't think they're crunchy on the outside.
Well, there are varying degrees of crunchums when you're talking exoskeletons. But look at all those little leggies.
He does have a lot of little leggies. And that face that is horrifying.
They do have a horrifying
little face. People love to meme him, and I'm like, I don't think you guys are really underselling how horrifying his little face is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are. I'm sure there will be a worm. Maybe we will talk about a worm at some point, and I'll just, I'll deal with it as far as bugs go.
So, arthropods. We've said their defining characteristic is that they're crunchy on the outside, gooey in the middle, with a variance level of crunch. What qualifies as crunch? Is there anything else that makes you an arthropod? Leggy, crunchy.
So I would say there's probably 6 main characteristics of an arthropod. Someone can fight me if they think there's more or less, but this is the list that I would think about when I'm talking arthropods. So they're invertebrates, right? They have no spine.
Crunchy on the outside.
They have an exoskeleton. That's the crunchy part, and that's made of chitin.
And that's different than keratin, because that's what we have for fingernails. Is that
a little different?
Sorry, that's too specific a question to be like, is that a mammal thing? Because like I know rhinos have keratin, but don't like sharks have keratin?
That I don't know.
We're getting into
I don't know
so many animals that Kelly's like, bro, I'm the bug lady. Get out of here.
I'm actually also like kind of a bird lady. I did a bunch of bird work too for a while.
Oh, okay.
So keratin is feathers. Keratin makes feathers.
Okay. Huh.
So not keratin and chitin are not the same thing. Mushrooms are made of chitin.
I knew I couldn't trust those dang mushrooms.
Concerned about that.
I always am.
Mushrooms are chitin. All right, so they are invertebrates. They have an exoskeleton made of chitin, which is varying degrees of crunchiness. Their bodies are segmented. So when we think about our friends, the insects, they have a head, they have a thorax, they have an abdomen, very segmented body plan.
I'm looking at the silverfish, and I guess he is still segmented. His head is definitely a head. This is my head. And then he's kind of got this thicker body portion that must be his middle. And then
his
thorax. And then his abdomen is this longer, looks like more bendy tail area.
Yeah. Yep. Our little friend the silverfish has the 3 main parts body plan of other insects.
Right. I just feel like it's easier to see on an ant because an ant like gets real squinchy in between the two sections. Squinch.
And I feel like an ant's head is a lot more defined
Yeah.
than a silverfish's head. The silverfish head almost blends into the thorax.
Yeah.
They have joints. All arthropods have jointed limbs. Think about a spider when it walks. You can really see the defined joints in the legs. Or even our friends, the lobsters that we were talking about earlier. They very much so have jointed limbs. They have an open circulatory system, which I think we talked about. What episode did we talk about that?
Well, we've talked about it several times because I find it to be wild.
Wild. Yeah. So totally open circulatory system, just out there for the world. And the 6th characteristic is they are bilaterally symmetrical. Do you know what that means?
That means they have to be the same on both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
But what about like a little fiddly crab? I guess, does it count that he's got claws on both sides? It doesn't matter that one
but they're still
one's
it's okay that
big.
one's bigger. Fiddler crabs are so goofy.
I see that they put a fiddler crab as Sebastian in the new live action Little Mermaid, which has not yet come out at time of recording.
Oh.
But that makes no sense because isn't a fiddler crab like an island crab? Why would he be at the bottom of the sea with the mermaid?
Well, yeah, fiddler crabs, they make little burrows in the sand. They're not like a in the water crab.
Yeah.
They're very much in the tidal zone.
Yeah, they're like, don't they like
Crabbiness.
lick all the sand? They lick all the little goodies off the sand? I feel like that's what a fiddler crab does, right?
I just like the males fight each other with their big hand.
Their big hand. My hand's bigger than your hand. Get out of here.
Sometimes they don't even fight. They just wave it around, and then they decide, all right, your claw's bigger.
If I'm honest, isn't that the case for most like male, where you have like a big display? They're like, look at me. You don't really want to fight. Because like, let's face it, they don't really want to fight. Because you could get hurt if you fought.
Yeah, and if you get hurt and you die, then you can't mate. So, yeah, there's a lot of tomfoolery that happens too. Sometimes a fiddler crab will wave around that big claw, and most of the claw is empty. It's not even like...
It's not even meaty in there? Oh,
no.
Bunch of
there was
liars.
a great BBC special on that. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, so fiddler crab, also an arthropod.
So what makes the silverfish the most basic of buggy boys? It's just that he doesn't deviate from this standard at all.
He doesn't even have wings.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say a lot of the bugs we've talked about have had wings, even up to 4 wings. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you take your water. Yeah. Although I find that to be debatable in the same way that we found like some of the nuances of this listing to be debatable, because I do not think the outer shell should be counted as wings. But so he doesn't even have wings. That's how basic he is. Wings come later in a chain of, now I need to get away.
He's nice and flat. He doesn't really, he's going to be in crevices.
He's wedging his way through this world.
Wings. Yeah. They're pretty small. They're maybe 13 to 25 millimeters. So that's half an inch to 1 inch in length. Okay. Can you picture that?
Yeah.
Not like huge.
So we talked about, I was going to say, so we talked about earwigs. I don't know that episode before or after this one. Sorry for the background to the podcast. Sometimes we record them in the wrong order. But we talked about earwigs, and the earwigs have been basically in the same spots that we're talking about the silverfish, in your bathroom, under a log, in the crevices. But the earwig does have wings, and the silverfish does not. So that's really the difference between the two. When I lift up a log, that's what I'm going to see.
Oh no, they're really very different animals, even though they kind of look similar. But they're not very closely related. They're called silverfish because they are silver and look a little fishy. It's a very easy
done.
Yeah, done. Yeah.
This is, hey, look at that bird over there. It's blue. So Bluebird. Look at this bug over here. It's silver like a fish. It's a silverfish.
I like that they're all kind of carrot shaped.
Yeah,
too.
kind of carrot shaped. The longer I look at him, because I do have a picture of him up, and it just seems like he's just like dragging his booty around, because like it's like as long as the rest of him, but is not like supported in any way. Very lobsterish.
Yeah, it is
very
a
lobsterish.
weirdly long abdomen.
It's like,
and they live kind of long. They live for about 3 years.
Oh, that's a long time in Bugland.
It is a long time in Bugland.
He's passing on his buggy
like
wisdom.
a long-lived. But it's funny, for such a long-lived bug, a female will produce probably less than 100 eggs over the course of this 3 years.
Because we've had some bugs that are like, I live 9 months from egg to moth or whatever it is, and it's like 1,000 eggs all at once. And this guy's like, I got 3 years. I can space this out a little bit.
It's kind of ridiculous. They're a bit of a menace. They like to eat. So they have cellulase in their midgut, which means they can process cellulose, and they will eat your books.
My books. The glue.
They're a little bit of a book menace. So don't store your books in the attic or in the basement, because the silverfish will eat them. No one wants that.
I certainly don't.
Unless you hate that book, then go ahead, give it. Just dump it in there. So silverfish go through 3 stages: egg, nymph, adult. I think we've covered a few like that before, haven't we? That only no pupal stage.
Hold on, incomplete metamorphosis.
Oh yes. So the silverfish actually does one even better, which is called ametabolous development, which is simple metamorphosis. And that means between the nymph and the adult stage, there's really very little changes that happen. They're basically the same thing.
He just like graduates. He's just like, and
yeah,
here I am.
He becomes ready to mate, sexually mature. That's
does he
really
still do that, like,
only difference.
I'm gonna shuffle out of my previous shell, emerge.
He does.
Oh, okay. I think that's
it'll take about 6 or 7 molts to become an adult, but, and this is super weird to me, they continue molting as adults.
Oh, even though, are they getting bigger with molts, or are they just like, this is useless to me now, this skin's used up?
They're just molten. They can molt between 17 and 66 times.
What a range!
What one paper was saying. Yeah. And a few I think were recorded molting 30 times in 1 year. I don't know what they're doing. Just,
my gosh, that's like every week and a half.
Yeah, it's a lot of molt time.
They need a better moisturizer, this guy.
Yeah. They're kind of weird that way. But going back to different metamorphosis. So like I said, these guys are simple. And then we have something like grasshoppers go through porometabolous development, which is called gradual metamorphosis. So if you look at a baby grasshopper, they go from nymph to adult, and their little wings start coming in a little bit at a time. So there's more of a difference between a young grasshopper and an adult than there is between a young silverfish and an adult silverfish.
Is the grasshopper
more bodily changes?
Is the grasshopper as dramatic as a tadpole to a frog, or is it a little less dramatic than that?
No, less.
Okay.
I would say tadpole to frog is closer to maybe dragonfly larvae to adult dragonfly.
Where he just slowly gets his little leggies coming in, and then his tail goes away, and then, oh, I'm a frog now.
Right. So dragonflies are hemimetabolous development, which is true incomplete metamorphosis. So adults lose some of the traits that the nymphs had, but there's no pupal stage.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the final is holometabolous, which is complete metamorphosis, and that you can think butterflies.
Okay. I've created a little home for myself. Bam! I turn into a goo and I emerge a butterfly.
So their metamorphosis is a lot more complicated, I think, than we generally think about.
So with mammals, we're not an incomplete metamorphosis because we don't molt. We're like constantly changing.
We would not use any of these terms to describe animals.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. Because like we do things like go through puberty and that changes our bodies. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like
I like you're trying to make people into bugs right now.
I always am trying to make people into bugs. But like how
there's a lot of nuance.
A grasshopper's getting his wings. Is that similar to like, oh, you're getting your wisdom teeth. You're a grown up now. Here you go. Here's your grown up teeth.
I'm gonna allow it. Sure, why not? We can. It's not even
kind of close.
But that's okay. It's a cute comparison.
I think it's funny to think of like, oh, this grasshopper's like slowly getting wings. I don't know.
Have you ever seen a nymphal grasshopper? It just got these half wings going on.
I think the only nymphal grasshoppers I've seen is when they're super,
they have big heads and squatty bodies,
super tiny, and they're like a bright green rather than that like more, I don't know, dull hard green that an adult grasshopper gets. And I don't know if that means they're a little bit squishy still or what.
It could depend on the species. I don't know what grasshoppers you guys have out there. There's a lot of grasshoppers, like a lot. So I can't really.
Yeah, grasshoppers definitely feels like one of those ones where it splits a lot because if it eats a different thing, it does a different thing. But the basic shape and form of a grasshopper is a grasshopper. Blanket statement. And like the difference between a grasshopper and a locust is always a little dicey for me. So, okay, so you said that our little silverfishy friend, he is sometimes a pest because he'll eat your books.
Right, and get into your flour and stuff. Yeah.
Is that like the category? Because again, with me trying to make humans into bugs, I talk a lot about like, but what does it do for me when I'm like rating them at the end? So it eats things I don't want it to eat, like the blanket. This is what qualifies you as a pest. You eat something I don't want you to eat. Oh, you create something I want to eat. So you're a beneficial bug. Like where does beneficial versus pest? Where does that ride?
Oh, it's really human centric.
Of course.
It's just about us. It's all about us and what we find to be irritating and not. So beneficial bugs have jobs that are good for humans. They do things we like.
Got a good job or you're no good.
Like ladybugs eating aphids. We consider ladybugs beneficial. And then if it's a pest, it does things we don't like.
And that's it. That's all it takes.
You can think about my friends, the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
They're considered pests, but they're also pollinators. Well, so they're beneficial to, the ecosystem, but we don't like them because they cause disease and they make us itchy.
And the exception to the rule in this case is the spider, because a spider is a beneficial that it eats pests like mosquitoes, but we just don't like it, so it's a pest. It's gotta go.
Yeah, they make us uncomfortable.
So they gotta go. Poor spider, really get the short end of the stick here.
Yeah, we have lots of like cockroaches or pests, drain flies that come out of your drain if you get like a clog or whatever, carpet beetles, flower moths, all those things. Ants are a pest technically. To Cody, I know Cody thinks ants are pests.
Cody specifically, they are pests. It's just funny because so many of these bugs, I would say they are beneficial. They just aren't beneficial in a way we immediately get gratification from. Because like, if we didn't have bugs, there'd just be like carcasses like everywhere. Like, like, 'cause who would get rid of them if not for all these little buggy bugs?
Yeah, bugs break down dead things, and so do fungi and so do bacteria. So we would still have things to kind of move that system along. But yeah, bugs are really important to that.
Interesting that we call lots of kinds of bacterium and stuff. We call those bugs too.
Yeah. Some like I got a stomach bug. Yeah. Right.
Oh, I've got this.
That is a common thing.
This head cold bug or whatever. Yeah.
For the sake of the podcast, I would not consider.
They're not the vibe. They're not the vibe.
They're not the vibe we're looking for. Yeah, vibe is such a good descriptor for bugginess. I like it. Oh, you had asked a question, Amanda, a long time ago, and I don't remember if we answered it. You asked if they keep all their organs in their booties.
Yes, I do ask that a lot.
Did I answer that question?
I don't know that you did.
So.
I don't know that you did answer. Do they keep their? Because I think I was thinking specifically of the octopus when which is not a bug. It keeps. It's wild to me that they keep all their organs like in their mantle. Like I think that's crazy. And with your open circulatory system of the bug, that opens up a lot of options for where you keep your organs if you don't have to like centralize it, right? So, do they keep all their organs in their booties?
Yeah, everything important is in the booty. Other than like some nerve ganglion, which kind of operate as brains. But yeah, the head or the cephalothorax, we call it a cephalothorax if the head and the thorax are combined.
Like in
we see that in
spider.
In spiders? Yeah. So spiders only have 2 segments. The eyes are there, the cerebral ganglia are there, which is kind of like a brain. The antennae, which is not really, I wouldn't consider them an organ, but that's where they are, and the mouth ports. The thorax, it might have some specialized glands that do very specific things, and it might have a crop. You know, some insects like grasshoppers have crops, like a bird.
They just kind of keep some. I don't know. Now I feel like I'm going to say it wrong. They have like a little storage zone. Is that what I was saying?
Yeah, crop helps break things down before it enters the stomach.
It's funny.
Like a bird.
Yeah, birds seem to have to do that like on both ends. It seems like I got to break it down first, then I got to put it through my stomach. There's a gizzard situation happening here somewhere, and then it's done.
Yeah, so that might be in the thorax. Sometimes it kind of depends on what species we're talking about. And then basically everything else is in the abdomen. It's got the midgut, the hindgut, sometimes the crop if it's not in the thorax, all the reproductive organs, their hearts are in their butts, venom glands if they're producing venom.
Is a bug heart similar to a mammalian heart?
No.
I would say not,
no,
given
not
that
really.
they have a totally different circulatory system setup.
Yeah, it's not the same. But yeah, so most of their organs are in fact in the booty.
I could not hear the heartbeat of a little bug.
No, you could. I wonder if we could. I wonder if there's a way. There must be. I bet we actually could. But I don't know. That's a guess. Now I want to. Now I would like to hear the heartbeat.
Someone who's got the teeniest little microphone to listen to their little the stethoscope the size of a head of a pin.
And they have a lot of the same organs that we do. They may not be like ours, but they have the similar functions. So we share 60% of our DNA with a fruit fly.
Oh wow! But isn't it supposed to be like like half your DNA is similar with a banana? Like it just feels like if you're alive, you have a certain amount of similarity with other things that have biological processes.
Folks are generally a little surprised by that, though. But
it's like we're like super close to like is it bonobos, which is a type of great ape? Mm-hmm. Like we're like super close. like we're all just like a couple of weeks away from becoming a bonobo. Although,
well, that's not how evolution works.
Excuse my hyperbole. I'm not even going to entertain my nonsense. No, that is not how it works.
And I don't usually say no to you.
That's true. You often are too indulgent to my whims.
That was an instant no. But I think we're like 90. Is it 99.8?
Yeah, it's like stupid close. It's like wow.
Or 90, maybe it's 98.8. We rounded up to 99, but yeah, we are very, very close to chimpanzees, but 60% close to a little fruit fly, which I think makes life really fascinating.
Yeah, it really shows that like the basics start the same, like a fruit fly to a person, and then once you've got cells that work correctly as cells, you can move on from there.
Well, when you think about a bug and us, we've got eyes. Our eyes may be different, but we've got them. Sort of a brain, hearts, digestive tracts, reproductive systems.
So we need to breathe, we need to think, we need to eat, we need to make more of us.
Yep,
that's
life.
That's life, baby.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
else is a bonus.
And even though they don't have veins, because their circulatory system is open, they do have tracheae, which are little tubes that let that air, that oxygen, come in and out of their body.
That is so wild to me.
they...
That is crazy. How do you stop like infection and stuff from getting inside of you if you're just like? But I guess we get infection inside of our breathe hole all the time.
All the time. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Horrible.
Speaking of how they breathe, so the way bugs breathe, especially think about insects and arachnids here, is through spiracles. And these are like little pores in their bodies that allow oxygen in, and they can contract them or open them. And the oxygen enters the spiracles and it passes. I know this is the wild part for you, where it just passes diffusively.
It just
through the body.
Gets in there.
It just does its thing.
Just like a seltzer water meets carbonation. It's in.
But it doesn't always happen that way. So springtails, which we haven't talked about yet on the pod, and we will because they're cool. They're so tiny, they don't even need this system. The oxygen just comes in through the pores, and they're good. There's no
there's enough pressure
expansive.
Already. Oh wow.
Yeah, they don't have an expansive trachea system, which is kind of cool. I mean, same thing with bug eggs. Oxygen comes in through pores because eggs need to breathe too.
I have literally never thought about how oxygen gets inside of an egg. How does that work? What?
Pores. Through pores.
So like a chicken egg has pores on it too, but we just don't see them because they're so small.
They're tiny. Yeah.
Blowing my mind right now.
Do you think that little egg has enough oxygen to last?
No, certainly it does not, which is why I am blown away right now. Because I just can't believe I've never thought about it before. Like how... I guess I'm just so used to, again, being a person. A people. When I grew my babies, I just supplied them with oxygen with my body.
Right, exactly.
But
if your babies were in an egg,
if my babies were in an egg, they would not be getting my lungs doing the work for them.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, if you want to get real weird,
I do.
We can talk about parasitoids. So a parasitoid lives inside of another host, but it still needs oxygen. It can't just live inside something and then not breathe. So there are a few ways they kind of handle this. So one way, they get all the oxygen they need from the host's hemolymph, from the blood. They just latch on, and that's like enough for them while they're feeding. So this is pretty common for wasps. Parasitoid wasps do this. Parasitoid flies take this a few steps further, and they either connect to their host's tracheae directly, and they and they steal oxygen that way, or my favorite method, they make a little snorkel. So a parasitoid fly, they lay their eggs on the outside of their host. Then once they hatch, the larvae burrow into the host, and then the host's immune system kind of create this sort of scab around the larva, and the larvae eat their way through it and continue as it burrows, but the scab remains, so the whole way they're kind of creating a snorkel to the outside of the thing they're parasitizing.
I believe I specifically requested that we have a little less horrifying horrors happening on the podcast. Dislike.
Well, it's fascinating though, isn't it?
Not the word I would use. Fascinating.
Hey, they had a problem and they solved it.
Certainly is unique.
That's all it is.
Oh my gosh. As soon as you said like tracheal, like I was like, oh no, this is not going well for anyone.
I think it's interesting.
I don't doubt that it's interesting.
Maybe that was
but
gross.
Like the scales of like the Venn diagram, like pie chart, I guess really is what I mean. The pie chart of like disgust to interest, mostly disgust. Interest, but mostly disgust.
Yeah, producer Derek is saying botflies do something similar. Botflies are extra gnarly.
Yeah, they're super gross.
I don't know if we'll cover them or not, but they're always in those TV shows where they're surprised, like, oh, this thing was living in me for a week.
Yeah.
And then,
There's some good TLC shows like I didn't know
yeah,
my head was
TLC.
pregnant with a botfly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they show up in those things a lot. They're like, oh, I went on a safari and I didn't know I came home with a cockroach in my urethra or whatever it is.
Yeah, Monsters Inside Me was
I think that's what it is. Monsters Inside
my
Me.
dad loves that show.
It's a
Hi, Dad.
dad show. A dad
Yeah.
show. Just endless river monsters followed immediately by Monster Inside Me.
Yes. I think last time I visited my parents, that's kind of what happened.
Just the all monster channel. All monsters all the time. Dislike.
I guess we can move on to a less gross topic if you want me to discuss how bug eyes work.
Yes, tell me about bug eyes. And does the silverfish, I'm trying to zoom in. He's got eensy weensy little eyes.
Teeny tiny little compound eyes on that guy.
Very different from like the dragonfly, which was like all eyeball all the time.
Tons of eye on the dragonfly. Oh yeah, because dragonfly can see almost 360.
And we see that a lot eyeballs. When you can fly, you need to be able to see. And when you live in the cold, dark, dank, you don't really need to be able to see.
Yeah, so immediately, you recognize the pattern of why
there's no light down there underneath that
who needs
log.
a big eye and who needs a little eye. Yeah, it's why a lot of cave species have no eyes, because they don't need them.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything anyway.
No, there's no reason to make an eye.
That's kind of why the bat becomes an enigma, because depending on what the bats eat will change its level of eyesight. Because
is that true, Producer Dark?
Yeah, you need bigger eyes to find fruit, because that's not going to be as easily detected with echolocation because it doesn't move.
Right. How do I tell what's tree and what's fruit unless I can see it? I'm blinking my eyes very bigly. But like, I think we think of blind as a bat, but it's not really true in a lot of bat species.
No, they're not blind. Yeah,
but it is true for all their friends in the cave, because they're like, yeah, I'm not leaving here.
There's either you have really large eyes to detect whatever tiny amount of light is coming in, or you have no eyes because there is no light.
There's nothing to see.
It.
And then at the bottom of the ocean, that means you make your own light.
Yeah, the bottom of the ocean is a wild place.
It's like less explored than the moon or something like that. Like we know more about the moon than we do the bottom of the ocean.
Well, it's a lot harder. There's not a lot going on the moon.
That's true. That's true. It might just be a dearth of information.
When we think about bugs, so I think we generally think about compound eyes, right? And that's what you were just talking about with the silverfish and with the dragonfly. Not all of them have compound eyes.
Oh, really? I guess I just assumed that like bugs have compound eyes.
Well, our friends the centipedes and the millipedes and others that are related to them, they don't have compound eyes. Arachnids don't have compound eyes. So spiders
have many eyes.
Yes, they have many eyes with varying degrees of sight levels.
Plus, we had the mason bee who had kind of those light on, light off eyes on the top of her head.
Right. Most insects have that.
Okay.
So it's really just like picking up light, how light works. So instead of simple, let's see. So arachnids do not have compound eyes. Neither do horseshoe crabs, if we want to consider a horseshoe crab a bug. They have simple eyes. And some of them actually have really good eyesight. So jumping spiders can see color and UV. Lots of bugs can see in the UV, actually.
And that's like flower based, is what Dr. Ped was saying several episodes ago. Is that the flowers are trying to attract specific
friend of the pod,
Dr. Ped.
So they need to see that vibrancy attracts them, especially pollinators. So compound eyes are made up of kind of thousands of tiny eyes all put together, and it helps them see a wider panoramic image, which again is important, like you mentioned with the dragonfly. So we see that kind of 360 view for them.
And that's both so they can catch stuff and so they don't get caught themselves.
Right. So you have to worry, if you're a hunter, you're also going to be hunted. So you kind of need to be vigilant in that sense. And then, like you said, spiders have a bunch of eyes. Most of them have 8, but they can have 6 or 4 or 12 or only 2 or no eyes, like our cave-dwelling buddies. Don't need them. You can actually tell what family spiders belong to if by looking at the position of their eyes.
Oh, so it's like I was gonna say like an ink blot, but that doesn't really make any sense. But like the positioning of their
Like a
eye,
Rorschach
yeah, like a Rorschach test of like where the eyes are. This shape is unique to spiders.
Wolf spiders or ogre spiders, or yeah.
So the wolf spiders have
They're
like this
neat.
constellation, and jumping spiders have this constellation of their eyes, and so you could just like that. Oh, that's a jumping spider. That's a wolf spider. If you memorize the pattern of their eyes,
it's pretty fail safe. I think there's an image that always goes around the internet of all the different spider eye patterns.
Memorize the constellation of your eyes. What a sentence.
And then I think I have two other questions here on the sheet. It's about butterflies tasting with their feet.
Yeah. Okay. So I've heard that before. That a butterfly lands on you, he's tasting you. And I think I've heard that about flies as well, that they taste on their feet. Is that a common bug thing? Or is the silverfish going to taste me when he runs away from me as I try to get him out of my bathroom?
It's very common for insects to be able to quote taste.
Right. I think that's
with their feet.
The first thing you need to know is, do they taste or do they just like sense? This is salty. We call it this is whatever.
We call it chemoreception. It's their ability to pick up chemicals on whatever they're touching. This is important if you're looking for food, so you know what food is. They generally also have them on their antennae and other parts of their bodies and their legs. So it's not just their little feetsies.
Oh, okay.
That are doing
so they have several points where they can touch something and be like, nom nom. Oh, this is...
I know what that is.
Yeah. This is protein or whatever.
Crickets actually have these chemoreceptors on their ovipositor. So they touch the soil to figure out if that soil is where they want to lay their eggs.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to think of it as like tasting. If it's like on an ovipositor.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. But it's really easy to detect what you're on and whether or not it's safe to be there, or if it's food, or where you want to lay eggs, if it's directly on your feet.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm doing art stuff over here.
Oh, wait, are you making a hero of the silverfish? Or are you just doing art stuff?
I don't know if I'd use the word hero with our good friend the silverfish.
No?
Let me send you his basic form here.
So he's a basic dude.
That is certainly the words I would use to describe this drawing. I tried to make him... Oh, you can see my notes. Sorry, you're going to see my notes.
That's okay. I'm interested in what your notes are.
Oh, my notes are just me trying to figure out how like kingdom and phylum and stuff works. So I've tried to capture the essence of a young, just recently, he's an adult now, even though he still looks like a child, because his incomplete metamorphosis has led him to still looking exactly like a child.
He is very basic.
I tried to do a basic boy. So he's wearing a sweater. He's wearing his...
He's got a hoodie.
He's got a hoodie on. He's got some jeans on. He's got a messenger bag full of books that he's probably going to eat later. I've given him my father's haircut. Yes.
Oh, I'm learning so much about your dad on this podcast.
He's a great guy. Everyone likes him. I gave him some Converse shoes, the most basic of shoe, and I tried to capture a fella who you would let tickle you, but not in a creepy way, in a way that you both enjoy.
Consensual
tickling.
It's consent.
He's interested in consent. The silverfish boy. He's learned a thing or two.
He might run away from you to chase him.
Well, he's scared of commitment, but he's still so young. Just a wee bab.
Oh, yeah, listeners, I would not. I would call this our least hero-y hero. He is like any dude on the street you'd walk by, and that is the silverfish. Yeah, to a T.
He babysits the babies the earwig has. I don't know what order this comes out in. Maybe he's Woolly Bear's babysitter sometimes. They hang out in like a...
Well, Isabella has to go off on
Isabella's got to go.
her superhero adventures.
She's got things to do, superhero things that she has to accomplish. She's gonna hang out with Silverfish for a few hours, Woolly Bear. And they like go to the park and play ball. You know, they play like catch.
No, I picture them playing Xbox.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But no violent games now. They're just playing like Minecraft.
No. Yeah. Oh, Silverfish, you magnificent boy.
He's just a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Basic boy. But sometimes that's what you want. You just want a basic boy who's like wholesome. I don't need anything fancy. Dare I say I might have married a Silverfish boy. Sorry, Cody.
Oh, Cody. I don't know. Cody makes what I've heard are excellent pizzas. That's true. Not a basic boy move.
You know Silverfish likes a pizza, though. He's bringing pizza when he's babysitting Woolly Bear. He shows up at the front door with a cheese in hand.
Speaking of pizza, which is making me hungry for lunch, I think we had one more question, which again, I'm pretty sure all these questions came from you. What's up with bug mouth parts?
What is up with bug mouth parts? Okay, so again, to like when we want to make something alien, we make it look like a bug, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the scarier aliens, I'm thinking specifically of the alien from Aliens, they have scary mouth parts. I think this Aliens is actually based off of like a moray eel or something like that, where it has like the secret second jaw.
Yeah, the second jaw, yeah.
But bugs, it feels like, especially on like a crab, if we're gonna count crabs in, I think you just see the crab mouth more, where it's got like multiple,
it's really moving around.
Yeah, multiple moving parts to it, where it's like or like, I don't know, bug mouths are like a whole thing.
They are a whole thing. So they do come in a variety of shapes and sizes, and what their mouth parts look like really depends on what they eat and how they eat.
Right.
So, for example, insect mouth parts come in 4 types: either piercing and sucking. So we can think of the mosquito for that,
which is actually chewing, multiple piercers, right?
Multiple little piercers.
Horrifying.
Yeah, I love that you remember that. I guess because it's horrifying.
It is.
Chewing. So there's plenty of bugs that chew: grasshoppers, cockroaches.
And is that more of the side to side?
Our friend the silverfish is a chewer.
Oh, he's a chewer. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He's a chewer. There's siphoning, which is like the butterfly.
So the long.
So use like a straw.
Okay. Not
a piercer, but a straw. And then there's spongy mouth parts.
I hate that. I don't even know what it is yet. And I hate the phrase spongy mouth parts.
It's a little bit gross. It reminds me of there's a species of mosquito. I think it's a couple species. It's definitely a genus, where they have a spongy mouth part and they harass ants until the ants throw up, and then they soak that up. So that's like
I think we talked about someone was harassing the ants.
Yeah. That's a spongy mouth part. So chelicerates, which are spiders, scorpions, they have fangs, or kind of like pinchery mouth parts. They can't chew at all, so that's why they have to liquefy their prey.
Oh,
there's no chewing. Sometimes they have pedipalps, which are the tiny legs. They help hold the prey in place.
I was explaining pedipalps to my son the other day. Because
you were.
I was, because we were reading a book we have that's like from the 90s. I think I talked about it in the very first episode of this podcast, where he was reading this bug book from the 90s that's also translated from Japanese. So like not all the facts are like good anymore, and also some of the facts are like translated in really awkward ways.
Yeah.
But he was looking at this picture of a spider, and he was like, because we were making spiders with our hands, and I was going like this. My hands crossed at the thumbs, and then I have 8 legs because I have 4 fingers on each side, and then I was talking about my thumbs being the pedipalps, right? Because I was trying to make it spidery. And so we just ended up talking about pedipalps because we were looking at pictures of spiders to figure out how to make our hands the most spidery. So
he did a good job. I like that.
He knows all about
those little pedipalps. There's usually the there's like 3 pairs of mouth parts called the maxilla 1 and 2, and then mandibles. So the maxilla are like lips. They're like bug lips.
Bug lips.
The little top part, yeah, they kind of help hold the food in place while they chew.
And that's something I feel like a grasshopper often gets drawn with lips.
Yeah.
I think it's that thing's fault.
Their maxilla, I think, are really easy to see. That's probably why. But yeah, grasshopper.
Well, we just watched that Blue Beetle trailer, and his face kind of has, because he doesn't quite have the Power Ranger mask, right? Where it's completely static. His is kind of static until you reach his jaw, and then his jaw is free moving. So I wonder if
it is a weird costume.
Yeah, it's weird in the comics too. You can kind of tell who's got an idea of how it works and who doesn't based on how they draw it. Because sometimes it's just like he's wearing a mask, but his mouth can move. You're like, that's not how that works. So I guess I would qualify Blue Beetle's new mask as grasshoppery with one upper lip and then a chewer.
With obvious maxilla.
Yeah, that's the word. And we have mandibles, right? That's what our jaw is called, a mandible.
Our jaw is a mandible.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
I mean, they also have mandibles. That's the chewy, the chewy part.
So most
that's
will have a mandible.
The basics about mouth parts, right? I think that's all the questions. So Amanda, how many legs would you give Silverfish, our basic boy?
The most basic boy. Part of me wants to reward him for being so basic. The building block on which many another bug has has launched forth and become much more unique and interesting. But then again, I don't think I should, because I should reward individuality. I should charisma, uniqueness,
nerve and
talent. I just don't know that Silverfish has any of those things. While he is a good boy, I think I gotta give him like 2. I'll reward him with a leg for being so wholesome. But I can't go higher than 2, I'm afraid, because he's just the simplest of boys. he's just a dish sponge of a bug.
Oh, poor. Yeah, I'm gonna give him 2.
Yeah,
I'm also gonna give him 2 legs.
No offense,
sorry,
Silverfish. Like
he loses points with me for destroying books because I love books.
Fair. I feel like he could have wings so easily and doesn't. And I feel like wings go along.
It's not like he chose not to.
No, he definitely chose not to. And it feels more like a less interesting roly-poly when I look at him.
Oh yeah,
he's like a roly-poly that hasn't figured out how to be cool yet. You know, he like hasn't reached his. He's a bug. That's fine.
Aw, Silverfish. What a guy. What a lad.
Just a fella. And important, but maybe he'll get powers someday, but certainly not yet.
I think that's everything, right, Derek?
Yep.
So if you want to be a bug hero like our friend Sheena, you could always reach out to us at BugsNeedHeroes.com, at BugsNeedHeroes@gmail.com, at reddit.com / whatever, however those HTMLs work. So whatever the subreddit is for Bugs Need Heroes. It's at Bugs Need Heroes. YouTube, Bugs Need Heroes. Instagram, Bugs Need Heroes. And
I think that's everything.
I think that's everything. Yeah. I guess technically we're on Twitter too. Bugs Need Heroes. If you Google Bugs Need Heroes, you will find us. And that's how Google's meant to work. Love you, bye. Bugs Need Heroes is created by Derek Conrad and Kelly Zimmerman. Hosted by Amanda Niday and Kelly Zimmerman. Bugs Need Heroes is produced and edited by Derek Conrad. Our music is Ladybug Castle by Roll Music. All character art by Amanda Niday. Got a bug question? Email us at bugsneedheroes@gmail.com. Check us out on bugsneedheroes.com for the visual companion to our episodes with the artwork of the bug-related heroes. We also have an Instagram, Twitter, and subreddit under the Bugs Need Heroes name. Thanks for coming by. So you're telling me that snakes is like bugs? It's a vibe?